Welcome to my film review of Tolkien. This is actually my second film review. The first one that I did, I talked for about half an hour. So if you're as much of an obsessed Lord of the Rings / Tolkien fan as I am, check out that review. But this review is based... I challenged myself to keep it within 5 minutes. Let's see whether I can. And I just want to cover who this movie is and isn't for. I originally thought that this movie was only for Lord of the Rings fans. As soon as I saw the trailer, I knew it was about Tolkien. I'm that much of a hardcore Lord of the Rings fan. And I loved this movie from the first minute to the last. I was almost sat on the edge of my seat, just like, oh, this is fascinating. And does that link up to that part of his life and that part of the storytelling? From a hardcore Tolkien fan's point of view, my one criticism would be it should have been longer. It's only a 2-hour movie. It should have been 3 hours, just like the Lord of the Rings movies. Give us more. Get into the nitty-gritty. Get into the detail. Tell me more about Tolkien. It's fascinating. But they wanted to appease people that aren't hardcore Lord of the Rings fans, definitely. So therefore, I can also discuss that this isn't just a movie for hardcore Lord of the Rings fans. If you like war and you're interested in World War One, he grew up around the time of World War One, so there's some World War One stuff in there. So if you're fascinated by war, this is definitely something that could appeal to you. And who else does it appeal to? Well, I was thinking, have you ever watched or listened or read an autobiography of somebody? You probably have, and you think to yourself, I've read this autobiography because I'm fascinated in the person. But I think everybody would enjoy this story of Tolkien because whether you're interested, even if you didn't know he was famous and that he wrote a book, let's just imagine that this is just some random guy, okay? His story is fascinating. It's mind-boggling. You'd think it was made up. It's so unbelievable, the stuff that he goes through in his life, that it couldn't possibly be true. You're like, nah, come on, that's so exaggerated. That's the most exaggerated, over-the-top story I've ever heard of. That could never happen. Well, it does, you know. His life story is so unbelievable, you know. The stuff that he went through. Ah, man. I mean, there's probably people out there being through worse, so, you know, apologies if I'm over-egging it, but the poor guy, you know, it's a fascinating story. My only gripe is there's a possibility that some people might find this completely and utterly tedious. Like, as much as I was sat there on the edge of my seat thinking, oh my God, this is awesome, I'm loving it, I've waited so long for this, I'm loving every second. If somebody came out of that movie house who wasn't a big Lord of the Rings fan and said, that is the most boring, rubbish movie I've ever seen in my life, I couldn't really argue. I'd be like, fair play. Yeah, can't argue against that if you're not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So there is, you know, it's a bit of a gamble, really. But some of the reasons why it appealed to me, not as a Lord of the Rings fan, is this. World War One. Loved it. I'm fascinated by learning about the wars. And World War One is so shocking. The Battle of the Somme, you know, the way they used to fight mustard gas and the tactics and stuff that they had. Oh, man. All wars are horrible, but World War One is really, you know, grim. So that is particularly appealing to me. The fact that he's male and a lot of I'm male, I can relate to his youth because a lot of it is during his youth when he's at school. You know, so that appealed to me because I was like, oh yeah, I remember being at school and having your closest mates and everything, and that was cool. So, you know, it ticks a few boxes for a few different people, but I would say if you're a hardcore Lord of the Rings fan, you wanted it to be longer, and if you're not, but you're fascinated by learning somebody's story, then this is a movie that you could really enjoy. So I'll keep the movie review short. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you think. Do you like this audio book, this biography? I thought it was fascinating. So thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next review. Check out my full-length review if you want to hear more. Goodbye.